from the food court in Aliante, which is a hilarious place to be. They don't have poker. They used to. I believe when I moved here in 2015, they still did. I never played here. I think by the end of 2016, it was definitely gone. So, seems like a cool place to play, but I never played here. But a viewer asked me about poker in Vegas recently. Like, I think that viewer was thinking about moving here and wanted to know what to expect in the games. So here's the thing, I don't know everyone's living arrangements. I don't know how much money everyone needs. I don't know everyone's skill level. I don't know how many hours people are willing to play, but I can tell you that when I say the games in Vegas are the tightest, most difficult games anywhere in the country, and I haven't played everywhere in the country. I've played a lot of places in the country, never played outside the country, but I can speak for a lot of the country. The games in Vegas are the tightest, most difficult games I've ever seen. Two things to that, tight and most difficult. First, tight. All those Las Vegas only poker hand videos I put up, and I'll put a bunch going by the link at the top of the screen as I'm talking. Those aren't jokes. I'm not embellishing anything, I'm not exaggerating anything, I'm not making them up. Those hands happened. Just today, I was in the free roll, the player appreciation tournament in Bally's. I min-raised under the gun, and someone folded jacks out of the small blind. There was also an all-in for about 10 big blinds, and a guy tanked with kings before calling. The other day in a cash game in Caesars, there was a board of Queen 10-6. There was a bet of about 45, and then an all-in for 300. The guy who bet the 45 tanked for so long, it got to the point where I was pretty close to calling the clock. I thought he had like Queen 9 and was gonna fold. He ends up calling with a set of 10s. These things happen all the time in Vegas. Like, they're not even like shocking to me anymore, but I make videos because they're entertaining. These are the tightest games in the world, in the country. The thing is, players who have these characteristics in their game, they're not great characteristics for winning large amounts of money, but they actually are great indicators of someone who has found out how to like break even, or who was a losing player and now has figured out how to lose small. There are people who used to lose like a lot, very easily lost buy-ins. Those people have either left the player pool, or they have turned into these people who don't really put money into the pot under any circumstance. So it's not a great strategy on their part if they want to be large winners in poker, but it actually is very difficult for other people to win large amounts of money off of them. If you want to take advantage of these players and exploit their weaknesses, you're like just bluffing them mercilessly. The thing is, if you understand the math behind bluffing, it's a difficult proposition, because when you win small, and when you lose big. You could try to bluff the same player 5 times. If 4 of them work, you might be down money, because when you win, you're winning small, winning small, winning small, winning small, and then the one time you get caught, you lose big. And it's all of a sudden you're in the red over those 5 hands, because that's bluffing. It's a lot easier when you're just, when the way to make money off somebody is to win at showdown. When you're wrong and you win small, you still win, it's just small. And when you're right, you win big. When it's the difference between winning big and winning small, those are 2 great options. That's winning at showdown. Winning via a bluff, it's the difference between either winning small or losing. So when your bluffs don't get through, it's really tough. Also, the players are just like better. There have been a lot of times the last few years, so I've been mostly in Vegas since June 2021. And you know, it's been a little different. I lived in Vegas permanently in 2015 and 16, and I'm just talking about since June 2021 now, when I like returned, when I came here from Oklahoma, and I've been here mostly for my poker since June 2021. Players are just like good. There are like times I like correctly read someone for having like 2nd or 3rd pair, and I fire like multiple barrels to try to get that player to fold, and they call me down and they beat my king high. Like, that didn't used to happen, and it doesn't happen so much in other cities. In other cities, there are people who just, I'm aware, will never fold 2nd pair, and I don't try to bluff them. Here, it's like, at the right time, they take a stand, and their read on what's going on is like just as good as my read, and I've lost a lot of hands, like high card versus 2nd pair, high card versus 3rd pair. Also, they don't so easily cooler themselves anymore. Like, you know, boat versus trips, straight versus set. Like, those hands just used to be all-ins all the time. There have been some, like, I've been on the winning end of, like, boat versus trips, and trips, there's two things they do. Sometimes it's just an amazing read and they fold, and I don't understand how, but, like, they're aware they're behind and they give it up. Sometimes they just, like, I think without trying, are, like, giving off such weakness that I read them incorrectly. Like, there are times I have a boat versus trips, and I don't go for that much value because it doesn't seem like the guy is that strong. Like, if I could see through his cards and I knew he had trips, I would be betting much bigger the whole way and going all in on the river. But they just seem so weak throughout the hand. Like, I know I have my full house, and I'm, like, reading the other guy for, like, second pair, and I'm like, I can't possibly bet that big, he's gonna fold. So I bet, like, small on, like, all three streets, or, like, I even check a street and bet small on the other two, and they manage to, like, get out of a trips versus full house scenario without losing that much. These games are very tight and very difficult. Even so, there are things the people in the player pool here do that are, like, very active, and it prevents them from losing a lot. And there are things they're, like, doing by mistake, like I said, when they have, like, trips versus my boat, and they're just for some reason, like, aware that they could be behind, and they're, like, worried. And even if they're just, like, shell-shocked from, like, maybe an orbit ago, maybe they lost trips versus boat, and, like, that's it, they're just having, like, flashbacks to losing a large pot very recently, they're doing things that are preventing them from, like, losing a lot. So whether it's just how tight the games are, or whether it's just how, like, good the players are, yeah, these are the toughest games I've ever seen in my life in this city. And yeah, it's not to say that you can't make money here. I mean, if you could tell the future and you knew you were going to make $8 an hour, for example, and you were willing to play a ton of hours, you had nothing else on your plate, you really enjoyed playing, you really wanted to play, and you were willing to play 300 hours every single month, that's a tough schedule. But that's all right. Let's cut it back. 250 hours a month. You could do that. That's much more realistic. 250 hours a month times 12 months is 2,500, 3,000 hours a year. If you only made $8 an hour, but were willing to put in that volume, that's $24,000. I don't know what your other incomes are, if you have them. There are ways to live out here for under $24,000. If you're playing that much, you barely need to spend money on food. You're going to have a ton comped. You could use a lot of those comps. You could cash them out. You could use a lot of those comps for hotel rooms. So you could live out here for under $24,000. I do. So when someone asks, like, can I make a living out here? There's a ton I don't know. I can tell you what the state of the poker games are. They are incredibly tight. They are incredibly difficult. But there's still money to be made. And if you can make enough, and if you can put in the right volume, and if you can have the correct expenses, yeah, you could still come to Vegas and even play the lowest stakes there are and still make a living. But I can't tell you how you're going to live, what bills you're going to have, things like that. I can tell you from experience the state of the games. I play a lot of hours out here, and I've been playing almost only here since summer 2021. The games are very tight, and the games are very difficult.